Zootopia 2 hides. The villain of Zootopia 3 in plain sight. It is on screen for less than 5 seconds. And once you see it, the entire post-credits scene rewires itself into something much darker. Most people walked out of Zootopia 2 talking about Gary the Snake, or the Linksley twist, or Nick finally saying he loves Judy on the carrot pen, and then a feather. One bird feather drifted onto Judy's windowsill at the end. Everyone knows the feather means birds are coming in Zootopia 3. Director Jared Bush has basically confirmed it, but nobody is asking the actual important question: which bird and why now? Because Zootopia 2 already showed us exactly which group is being set up to be the next villain, and the clue is buried in a single line of dialogue. Let me walk you through it. Think about how Zootopia 2 sets up its world. The city was founded 100 years ago by Ebenezer Linksley. That is the official history. And the entire plot of the movie is Judy and Nick discovering that this official history is a lie. Ebenezer did not found Zootopia. A snake named Agnes did. Ebenezer stole the credit, framed her for murder, and used the construction of Tundra Town to literally bury an entire community of reptiles underground. 100 years of reptiles erased from the city. The basilisks, the snakes, the iguanas, the lizards, shoved into Marsh Market, forgotten, lied about, removed from the founding story. And Zootopia 2 ends with the reptiles being welcomed back. Agnes finally credited, the city healing. So here is the question that started bothering me on my second rewatch. If reptiles were erased once, who else was erased? Because the city's mayor is a stallion. The cops are mammals. The criminals are mammals. The citizens we see in every scene are mammals. What happened to the birds? Here is the moment, and you can rewatch the movie to confirm this. When Judy and Nick go to meet Jess, the plumed basilisk in Marsh Market, they have a conversation about why reptiles were pushed out of the city. Jess explains that their original home was buried when Tundra Town was built. That is a very specific detail. The reptiles were not exiled. They were not banished by law. Their homes were physically buried under another district. Their entire neighborhood was paved over. Now apply that logic to the city's design. Zootopia has districts for every climate: Tundra Town, Sahara Square, Rainforest District, Little Rodentia, Marsh Market for reptiles in secret. There is no Sky District. There is no Flight Zone. There is no neighborhood built for birds in a city that engineered weather walls to recreate every habitat on Earth. They did not build one for the species that needs open sky. That is not a budget choice by Disney. That is a story choice. Because in the world of Zootopia, birds are not part of the city, and Zootopia 2 just spent 90 minutes telling us what happens to the species that gets left out of the city's design. They get buried, they get erased, and 100 years later, they come back angry. Now go to the post-credits scene and watch it slowly. Judy is in her apartment. She presses play on her carrot pen. The pen plays back a recording of Nick. It is the most emotional beat of the entire movie. Nick admits he loves her. Judy smiles. The scene cuts, and a feather lands on her windowsill. Most people read this as cute, like a butterfly in a Pixar short, a hint that birds are joining the city in Zootopia 3 to expand the world. But think about what just happened in the movie that ended 30 seconds ago. The entire plot was a snake exposing a 100-year cover-up about a hidden species. Gary did not show up to be a friend. Gary showed up to clear his great-grandmother's name and force the city to acknowledge what it did. Now a feather appears at Judy's window, uninvited, from a species we have not seen for 2 films, from a species the city has no district for. That feather is not a welcome. That is the same setup Gary had, a member of a forgotten group showing up at a doorstep with a story to tell. Except this time, the species coming forward can fly. They can see over the weather walls. They have been watching the city from outside its borders for 100 years. And unlike the reptiles, they have not been buried. They have been circling. Here is where it gets dark. And this is the part of the theory I cannot stop thinking about. Zootopia has a pattern. Every film has the same shape of villain. In the first movie, Dawn Bellwether, a small prey animal, felt invisible, felt overlooked, and decided to weaponize fear to take power. In the second movie, Pawbert Linksley, the runt of the family, felt invisible, felt overlooked, and tried to destroy the truth to earn his father's respect. Both villains are members of accepted species in Zootopia, and both villains turned because the city made them feel small. So think about what happens when the next villain is not a member of an accepted species at all. When the next villain belongs to a group the city literally left out of its blueprint. A bird does not need to be radicalized by feeling overlooked. A bird is overlooked, structurally, by design. And there is one more detail that connects this. Remember, at the very end of Zootopia 2, Bellwether escapes prison. Nick accidentally helps her break out during his own escape. She is on the loose by the time the credits roll. Bellwether has done this before. She manipulated mammals once. She made the city tear itself apart through fear. Now she is free again. And the only species she has never tried to weaponize is the one that just appeared at Judy's window. A bird villain by itself is a story. A bird villain teaming up with Bellwether is a war. And the franchise just set both of them loose in the same final 2 minutes. So, let me tell you what I think Zootopia 3 actually is. A bird shows up at the ZPD. Maybe it lands on the front steps. Maybe it is reporting a crime. Maybe it asks for asylum. It does not matter how it arrives. What matters is that for the first time in the city's history, a bird walks through the doors and asks to be treated like a citizen. Judy welcomes it. Because that is who Judy is. She championed the reptiles. She will champion the birds. But somewhere in the city, Bellwether sees an opportunity. She failed with night howlers. She failed with manipulating prey. But a bird is a perfect weapon. Birds can fly over the weather walls. Birds can carry messages. Birds can scout. Birds can see the entire city from above in a way no other animal can. After 100 years of being ignored, does not need much convincing to listen to someone who is finally offering them a seat at the table, even if that someone is a sheep with a criminal record. The third movie is not just about birds joining the city. It is about whether the city can survive its third reckoning in a row. One cover-up at a time. One species at a time. And this time, the villain is not someone left out by accident. The villain is the city itself, for never building a district for the sky. Bellwether is the match. The birds are the fuel. And Judy is going to spend the entire movie trying to figure out which side is actually right. Because for the first time in the franchise, the villains might have a point. So I want your honest take. Does the theory hold up? Do you think the feather at Judy's window is just a friendly hello? Or is it the same kind of doorstep moment that started Gary's story? And if Bellwether is really back in the wild, who do you think she goes after first? Drop your guess for the Zootopia 3 villain below. Specific bird species. Specific motive. I am reading every comment and pinning the wildest theory after 24 hours. And one more thing. I am working on a video about a single detail in the very first Zootopia movie that retroactively explains why the city has no sky district. It has been there since 2016. Nobody talks about it. If you want that breakdown next, hit subscribe and drop the word feather in the comments so I know you watched to the end. See you in the next one.